Test 1 2. Check 1 2. Test test test. Are you good there? 1 2. Check 1 2. Test 1 2. Oh, that's going out. Okay, Jamie, buddy, my notifications were muted, so I didn't hear your text come in. Sorry about that, buddy. Isaac and I were just blah, blah, blahing, and I know there's a 10 or 20-second delay, so I gotta keep talking, because that's how long it takes for the signal to come back to you on your stream. So send me a text. Loud and clear. Hey, there you go. That's awesome. Glad to hear it. Isaac's got some music, but we're kind of scared that they'll chop us off the YouTube thing because of copyright and all that BS. Anybody down there with you, or are you by yourself? Jamie? Are you all alone down there, buddy? What you doing? Yeah, they can kill the sound. Okay. Yeah, you know what I mean? By yourself. Okay. Yeah. Okay. If everything looks good and sounds good and you're happy with your levels, tell you what I'll do. I'm going to go to the mayor's mic and do an audio check there. What do you got for a camera shot of the head table? Am I in the shot? You're right on the edge of it. Yeah, I'm looking at the camera and where it's pointed to. So, oh, we can move the mic to the other side of that table. We'll have to do that yeah. Yeah. That's good. And then move the mic over, and then it's not in the camera shot. Yep. There you go. Now we're cooking with gas. All right. We're doing good? Okay. So Jamie says it sounds good. And does it look okay? I mean, it would be awesome if we had another camera operator to, you know, do close-ups of the head table, but it's probably not that important at the end of the day. I think it's nice that we've got the RoboCam to get the tight shot of the podium. That's important. All right, so you can come back up, I guess, Jamie. If everything's going tickety-boo down there. Okay. Perfect. When we're packing up, maybe we'll try not to forget that.
I can see the Okay, I think we're ready to start. It's 7:02 p.m. I'd like to start off by introducing the council members that are here tonight. I believe we have full council. To your extreme left, my extreme right, Councillor Tweel, Ward 4. Councillor Bernard, Terry Bernard, Councillor Terry McLeod, the Chair of Planning and Development, Councillor Rivard. And to my left and your right, Deputy Mayor Cody. Next to Deputy Mayor is Councillor Mike Duffy, Councillor Yankoff, Councillor McCabe, and at my extreme left is Councillor Ramsey to your extreme right. So we have an agenda, and I will be turning it over to Councillor Rivard to start off. So just call to order. I first have to announce, are there any declarations of conflict? Seeing none. The agenda is broken into 4A, B, C, and D. And before I give the mic over to Councillor Rivard, if you speak at one of the two mics, we have disinfectant so you can clean the mic, or if you wish to wear a mask, there's a mask also available, free of charge. And then there's hand sanitizers, and we also have Kleenex. So if you want to take those precautions, we're staying within the guidelines of the public health order. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Councillor Gregory Bard.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. You took care of the housekeeping items that I had here, so that's perfect. Thank you. All right, we'll move right into it. So the first application is for 12 Valley Street. There's a request to rezone a portion, approximately 416.3 square meters of property located at 12 Valley Street from the low-density residential R2 zone to the mixed-use corridor MUC zone, and amend the official plan map from low-density residential to commercial. If approved, the portion of property being rezoned will be consolidated with 281 University Avenue, the Provincial Credit Union, in order to provide the additional parking on the property for future expansion. And we do have Greg Morrison here, our planner, to present the application. So whenever you're ready, Greg.
Yeah, so Councillor Rivard summed it up pretty good. So I'll go through the plans and give a little detail as we go. So the subject property is located on 281 University Avenue and also 12 Valley Street. So the portion of 12 Valley Street is located in the low-density residential R2 zone, and the purpose of this would be to rezone the back portion. So you can kind of see here, rezone, it's approximately 416.3 square meters, and in the end they would be looking to consolidate it with the credit union property to eventually construct an addition along University Avenue. So the only item that requires public meeting is the rezoning, but the application does involve a rezoning, a consolidation, and a variance. The consolidation and variance would be dealt with at the planning board and council level in the upcoming couple weeks. So finally, there's a landscaping plan kind of illustrating the end result of what they're proposing. So the dwelling at 12 Valley Street would remain. The parking would be expanded / redesigned. You'll notice the addition at the front of the property with the existing drive-through banking removed, and in doing so, the parking lot had to be reconfigured, resulting in the need for additional parking. So a landscaped buffer would be provided along the southern boundary on this drawing, adjacent to the single or low-density dwellings to the south. So if there's any questions, I can definitely try to answer them.
No, sir. Could you just use the mic and please introduce yourself, and if you want to tell us where you live, but tell us your community.
Okay, I live in 14 right next door to 12. Dwayne Medor. I'm just wondering, are they planning on having an exit, like where the existing dwelling is? Are they having an exit going on to Valley Street, like traffic going through?
Yeah, so the application today has no access at all onto Valley Street, so they'll just maintain the two they have on University Avenue and Reserve Street.
Okay.
The existing dwelling will remain as is, just the property itself would be smaller, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I read in here about the trees and that. Are they going to be like tearing down the trees?
You can kind of see the existing trees on this plan here. Some of those trees will have to be removed for the extension of parking, but the final landscaping plan they're proposing would have trees being put back in place. There is a requirement to buffer parking from single attached 2-unit dwellings in the area, so they would have to either put some kind of tree buffer or a fence along it to keep the headlights out of the yards and everything.
Okay.
So some trees may be removed as long as they're not heritage trees, which I'm not sure. We'd get that assessed kind of thing. But if once they are removed, there would be other trees being planted at some capacity.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Tim, if you're going to use the mic, just go to the mic, please.
Yes, hi, my name's Tim McCullough. I live at 24 Valley Street, and I just wanted to come and clarify that it wasn't involving the front portion of that property, and that it wouldn't involve a driveway coming out onto Valley Street, which would affect the traffic on Valley Street a lot, detrimentally to me. I guess I'd also want to say for the record that if that was ever the case, I would object to it. So just for the record, if you don't mind having it in there, that I do object to future use of that residential property being used for a driveway for traffic flow.
Yeah, so this application doesn't include it, but if they ever did decide to propose that in the future, we'd be back at a meeting like this where we'd have the same situation. They'd have to rezone the front portion, but yeah, there's no plans for that right now.
Thanks very much.
Yep.
Oh, one of our technicians is doing the cleaning. That's great. Thank you. Okay, any other comments, questions? Okay,
Just right.
Councillor Tweel, want a question from the head table? Okay.
Thank you for your presentation, Greg. I want to welcome the folks here from Valley Street. Thank you for coming out tonight. It's good to see you here. Just to follow up on Dwayne's question about the expansion of the parking lot. So will there be infrastructure, new infrastructure that will be installed to ensure that there won't be a water runoff to the adjacent property owners? I bring that up because what I've been finding over the last year and a half, not zeroing in on this particular property, but other developments throughout the city where we give approval only to find out that there has been hazards and consequences for the adjacent property owners. And even though there seems to be a section in the zoning and development bylaw that deals with water runoff, it just never seems to be enforced. So I asked the question, Greg, and of course with all respect to the credit union, I know the folks quite well. They're a great banking institution here in our city and in the province and across Canada. I just asked that question. I just want to ensure that all the prerequisites and all the procedures are being followed to give that comfort zone to these folks. These folks live in Valley Street. They're lifelong residents. Their properties are immaculate. They have a wonderful neighborhood, and I just want to make sure that they're well looked after. They're my top priority. So if I could ask that, Greg, please.
Yeah, same with any application that we have for expansion of parking or addition. A drainage plan is always required, so you always need a licensed surveyor or a qualified engineer to create a proposed drainage plan. We approve the permit based upon that plan, and then they have to submit a final grading plan to show that they achieve that. So in this case, whether it's some kind of swale along the boundary line, curbing the parking lot, or putting in some kind of catch basin system. But in some capacity, they have to ensure that the water is either retained on their property or brought to a public right-of-way, so reserve or university. So that's the same with every application that comes through our office. You always need a drainage plan.
Okay.
I'll clarify that. I wanted to bring that up because sometimes that doesn't happen. And I'm not trying to be critical, but sometimes that doesn't happen. There is water runoff, and then we're into what the response I get is, well, that's a civil matter. That's a civil matter between the adjacent property owner and the developer. And I'm not saying that's happening in this particular case. I raise that question because of what has happened historically and previously. So that's why I bring it up, and I certainly want to wish the credit union all the best. A great institution, but nonetheless, I have a job to do, and I have to ask those questions.
Thank you, Councillor Twill. Thank you very much. Any other questions of clarification from council? Okay. Councillor Rivard, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. So we're on to letter B, 45 Towers Road. So there is a request to amend a comprehensive development plan and amend a development agreement to change the use of a lot from a 90-bed community care facility with an additional 8,000 square feet of commercial space to a 74-unit apartment building. We do have Diane McQuaid and Chris Jetty here to speak on behalf of the application, and we also have Laurel, our planner, here that can answer any questions if necessary. So Diane and Chris, if you guys want to make your way, do you guys want to do the presentation up at the podium? Yeah, you'll be a rock star on the podium.
Hello, I'm Diane McQuaid, and I'm representing Kelvin McQuaid, and Kelvin is the owner of the property on 45 Towers Road. And the reason I'm here is because I work in the community care industry, whereas Kelvin doesn't spend as much time at the community care business. But he's had this property for sale for over 2 years now, and the realtor tells him that the reason that it doesn't sell is that nobody's interested in doing a 90-bed community care. And some of the reasons that might be is that when we first started, when he had zoned as 90-bed community care, we were unaware of some requirements, or not requirements, but offers, I guess, from the government, is in that somebody that coming to a community care facility needs to meet a means test. That means that if they have any property, RRSPs, house, whatever, they need to sell that in order to pay their way at community care. However, if they're going to a nursing home, they don't have to meet the means test. So when people and families go to the hospital and they're found that they're no longer able to go back home, they make a pitch to have their parent or whoever is assessed at a level 4, which means going to a nursing home. So therefore, the demand for community cares facilities has diminished, I guess, from when we started 12 years ago. And also the province is now offering more money to home care so that people can stay in their homes longer. So like our community care is a 32-bed community care. And so it's, it's full all the time, but at the same time, that's not the same size as a 90-bed. So to put a 90-bed community care up wouldn't be feasible in today's market. And I just wanted to mention that, so if anybody has any questions regarding that, those questions, I can certainly answer them the best I can, but then Chris is going to come along and I guess tell you what Kelvin is planning. Does anybody have any questions regarding the means tests or community cares or province and their fundings?
What's that?
Okay, Mitch?
Thank you for your presentation, Diane.
Hey,
So,
Mitch.
if I understand it correctly, in what you're saying, that the market is just not there now for community care facilities?
Not that 99 beds, no. We see a lot of community cares that have 15 to 20 people,
Okay,
and ours, the Geneva Villa is 32. So that's sufficient to meet the need
yes.
that we have in Charlottetown at the moment. Well, PEI, actually, it's all across the island. And the big change was when, I think it was way back in the Binns government, they were you didn't have to meet the means test. And the intent was not to have community cares, to have community cares in that package as well, but it didn't get written up just correctly. And so community cares were excluded from meeting the means test.
Thank you, Diane.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, so you're going to get Chris to present?
Oh, yes, sure.
Okay.
Just,
Councillor,
yeah,
sorry
I
there,
did have
Councillor,
a question for Diane.
we moved you, Diane, you have to go back up to the podium. You're back on the hot seat.
I'm just wondering,
No
Diane,
problem.
so that was a while ago. Has there been any conversation with government on excluding the means test for a community care facility?
Almost daily. We just love to see that. I'm the president of the Community Care Association, and we hammer that, and that's all I can say. We hammer it all the time, every time we meet, but we just can't get them to budge on that.
Okay, so there's no movement coming up in the near future.
None that we can tell of, but we would love we'd love to see it.
Right on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions from councillors? Just stay there, Diane, hold on. Okay. Okay, Chris?
Thank you. We're presenting tonight seeking to amend the usage of the building as it was defined for the comprehensive development plan, from that 90-bed, as we've discussed, community care facility to a maximum 72-unit residential apartment building, and that's primarily for those are the things that are driving the market at this time. And so we did some preliminary designs, some conceptual designs that I'll just have a quick run through here. And here's a site plan to scale, and it basically shows Towers Road at the top, and the city property from the road to the property line, and then a 15.5 meter setback, I believe, to the face of the building from the roadway itself, and then a building that's in basically 26 by 50 meters in dimensions, L-shaped here, and you can see that in the intersection of those two forms, we would propose that there's the main entrance to the building is located there, and then off of Towers Road, this road that comes down and is specifically for pickups and drop-offs. There's no parking out front. It's landscaped and green spaces there. We indicate trees along Towers Road, and of course it's sized specifically for the vehicle circulation for emergency vehicles as well. And then we're indicating a number of parking spaces, surface parking spaces, almost to the maximum that the site will permit. And we do have a plan for the building that shows, you can see that at the bottom, I'm not sure how to use this, but I'll try it. Okay, so in this location, this is a ramp going to underground parking, and this building has 50 underground parking spaces. That this is a preliminary or a concept plan for the proposed parking level. So 50 parking spaces, an elevator that goes to the basement, and of course all 4 floors, a garbage room that's inside, so there's no corral to the exterior, a one-way in, one-way out, and of course, emergency exits to the exterior ramp and emergency stairs to the upper levels. And I'm just going to go back a few because portion there. This building is under construction right now. It's a 62 unit. And you can see that the vehicle circulation and the ramp down into the parkade is there. So it's also 50 parking spaces underground, and then the balance of the required parking on the surface. And this is much the arrangement for building number 2. So that's the concept plan there. Here's an aerial view. Building 1 is on your right. Building 2, the proposed change from the 90-bed community care facility would be a maximum apartment number of units would be 72, and it's much the same as building 1. And what's proposed here, because to your right is this site faces south, and so the main entrance of the building would be, to the south and to the west, which would be, the main daylight period of the day. Those get southern exposure, southwestern exposure, and then the main entrance would be open to the southwest as well. Emergency traffic in this zone, and then whatever surface parking is here, and with the intention that there'd be lots of green space left between the two buildings. These are no question, these are large buildings, and we want to be able to break the space up, have kind of a courtyard effect between the two buildings, and that a lot of green space and trees and buffering for the surface parking areas. Oops, wrong way. Here's a site perspective of what it would look, slightly elevated point of view from Towers Road, and you'll see that and this is a computer generated. This isn't just a sketch that could be. This is basically a scale drawing that would suggest that this is an accurate representation of what that courtyard space between these two buildings would be, and the building would be articulated with things like these oriel windows, proper fenestration, and the detailing in the gable ends or roof across here, breaking down the form, and again just trying to ornament the building so it's a little bit, brings the scale down to a reasonable human scale. And again, the parking level, and here's a section that shows accurately what the this would, because we do have a site survey with topographic information, this would be the level of the access road for emergency vehicles, then which would wind around. There would be the main entrance under a canopy, and then on the back side of the property, there'd be a swale between the two properties, and presently, I don't know what the setback is here, like 15, don't quote me, but I think it's 15 meters to approximately, in this vicinity would be the one-story, the existing one-story townhouse development that is there now. So the swale would be on this place, and it would be, there would be plantings and/or a privacy fence between the properties. So this gives you a sense of how the scale's managed. And then this is the garage level, the underground parking level here. And I think that's all we have to present, yes. Any questions?
If you have any questions, please use one of the two mics. Thanks, Chris.
Hello, my name is Barbara Dilla, and I live in Charlottetown. Is it okay?
Oh,
Loud
yes,
enough?
Barbara. That's good. Thank you.
Okay. So I had a number of questions, but a number of them have been answered, so thank you very much. I did do a bit of research this afternoon, so I just wanted to make a few notes before I ask my questions. One of them being that the Mount, for instance, which I think is a relatively high-scale community care home, has on its website, please note, due to the length of our current community care subsidy wait list, we are no longer accepting names for a community care subsidy wait list. So that's one community care location that's, I guess, off the list for many people. The shortcomings in the analysis indicates the loss of a community care facility is removing a form of housing that addresses a specific need. So that's a rather significant shortcoming. Were there any thoughts put to maybe having something smaller, despite the fact that the means test is what it is at the moment, and try and attempt to find a solution to that means test for community care facilities? In other words, rather than removing 90 rooms, was any thought given to maybe having 20 or 30 rooms instead?
I can't say that there was any consideration for a smaller unit or a smaller development in that area, but since this property, I believe, was, it was approved for 90 beds plus another, I think, 8,000 square feet of commercial space for community care, that the owner feels that sort of this medium number of units, residential units, which there is a significant need for in Charlottetown now, but this medium number of units would be satisfactory and also enough to energize that site, enough to maintain the intensive use of that site, multifamily residential units versus community care units. Residential units are typically larger. The users of that space, if you will, are more mobile. They may, they would make use of that area, its proximity to a lot of the infrastructure that Charlottetown already has, and to the mall, and perhaps even public transportation, and then, of course, taking care of the parking underground and other services that the community offers. And community care, in a sense, is a little bit insular type of building form, I would say, that the comings and goings, we're just trying to preserve some of the intensity of that property.
Barb, can I just remind you, we want to allow enough time for everyone to ask questions, so we're keeping it within 5 minutes. I'm not going to count this as part of your time, but just try to frame your questions so that we can get other speakers up. Thank you.
You're welcome. So what specific sector of society will this new apartment building be for? In other words, who is it for, and what are the tentative rents expected to be, and what are the size of the apartments?
Yeah, Diane, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, like as I said, I'm representing Kelvin, and Kelvin has the land for sale, and this was the proposed plan, but I'm really not sure what the rents will be. But I would like to address your concern, if I could, about the community cares, and somebody, you said, do I have time to do this, Mayor? I'm sorry.
As the proponent, yes,
No, I'm
because
sorry.
you're
You
selling
mentioned
the
somebody
project.
has a wait list and couldn't take any more people, and what community care was that?
So that's the Mount, and they say that due to the length of our current community care subsidy wait list.
Right, And people on subsidy, the people that, owners that are operators really can hardly make a living on the subsidized rate that's offered by the province.
So
I
that's a
know we have 32 beds at Geneva Villa, and we have 2 rooms that are subsidized rates because it's just not feasible at all on the subsidized rate.
Okay, so I'll leave that topic aside for now because
Okay.
that's
Now,
a
as
different
far
issue.
as the rents, I'm not sure about what the rents will be. The units run, my understanding, I mean, I don't have all the details on this at all. I think they're around 700 square feet to 1,200 square feet in that area. So, and I imagine it would be $1.50 a square foot. That's basically what most places are renting for in Charlottetown area, or at least that's what I think they're renting for, is about $1.50 a square foot.
Thank you. What green space amenities will they have at their doorstep around the building? Will there be a room outdoors for community gardens, sitting areas? What is the livability factor of that building and the surroundings?
Yeah, the intention was for this space to be, the space between the 2 buildings to be, to remain green space, to be landscaped. There's lots of potential for, for garden structures, for outdoor seating, picnic tables, trees, of course, walk pathways between the 2 buildings, pathway perhaps. Well, there's to the west of this building, there's the open space, which is a park that's owned by the city of Charlottetown, a large park that is between the mall, it's a green space, and the rails to trails, and access to the rails to trails from both buildings, and to this, to this public park as well.
Okay, I just have 2 more questions. There are no balconies, right, on these buildings?
Actually, the interesting design of this particular building, the one that's under construction presently, is that these are actually interior developed space. They're 4 seasons, if you will. They're heated spaces, but the windows are very large, and there's a tempered window, a tempered glass window that basically extends to the floor, or 6 inches from the floor, from about this height. The 42 inches that's required as a guardrail, and it's big operable windows. So it's in kind of an interior
Okay, I understand.
balcony space.
Yeah. And you didn't mention the number of surface parking spots?
Right. Surface parking. Okay, so
because there are 62 units, and you mentioned there are 50 below ground or underground. Okay. So that would leave 12.
Oh, let's do this. Okay, so here's a scale drawing that shows, like I said, 50 underground parking spaces. Oh, this one doesn't show complete. Just let me back up. This is to scale, and it shows 50 underground parking spaces and 30 surface parking spaces that are shown. We could actually increase that to 40 if need be, but right now what is shown between the building and the site itself are 80 parking spaces.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Barb. Anyone else from the audience? Do you want to close up, Chris? Any final words? Yeah, just 1 second.
Yes.
Councillor Bernard?
Just a curiosity, what do you have for these buildings for energy efficiency? Could be doing solar panels or anything for energy efficiency?
Oh, yes. Well, we haven't gotten into the detail of what the construction requirements would be, but under the 2015 National Building Code, although this building falls into a different part,
yes,
we are presently actually increasing the R values of the walls to 24 plus an exterior polyisocyanurate board to block any cold bridging. We have R60 in the ceiling or in the roof system. High efficiency heaters, electric heaters. There's nothing to say that there couldn't be other areas. We did talk, I did speak to an engineer about other saving or energy efficiency measures that, like more insulation under the slab in the parquet level, more energy or more rigid insulation on the foundation walls, that type of thing. And it's mostly passive that we're exploring right now, but the mechanical engineer has also done some work in the energy efficiency end of it to make perhaps building 2 even more efficient.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Twill.
Thank you for your presentation. Just want to go back to the courtyard, if that's okay. Is that the final design for the courtyard?
This is, there's nothing final about this whatsoever.
Okay.
This is all concept. What we're proposing here, we had to explore the possibilities for the building orientation, of what we would like to see between the 2 buildings, just to maximize the amount of green space possible, the setbacks, to make sure, of course, that they meet the development bylaw. And there's nothing final about this. All kinds of potential to develop it.
For what it's worth, I would love to see the courtyard expanded in terms of more green space, if that's possible. I think it would add more value to both of those buildings. You mentioned the walking paths. Is that on the periphery of the 2 buildings as well?
Presently, there's a public walking path that extends all the way up to Mount Edward Road, a 10-foot walking path that comes down to here.
Okay.
And then approximately where the pointer is right now, across here, this is all parkland in here. And then the rails to trails is to the west of the park itself. So the property is basically bounded by a walking path, by green space. This is developable land here, and we're intending that, we can get out to Towers Road, down to the amenities here, link up to this walkway and be able to access this park, as well as develop some park-like space in between the 2 buildings.
Okay, and also the city park, the proposed city park, I think that's going to be a great addition to the development. No conceptual designs have been developed as of yet, but I know the department is very cognizant of that fact. And on the Towers Road, there is a design for an active for transportation pathway. I believe it's 8 feet in width, and that'll be great for cycling, walking, jogging, running, and I think that'll make Towers Road a lot safer than it is today. It's not safe today for pedestrian traffic, so I think it's important that be noted here tonight, that we do have the design work is already done by the Public Works Department, so the sooner that is installed, the sooner that street will be a lot more safer for the folks that live in that particular development and the other part of Sherwood, the older part of Sherwood. So I wanted to bring that up. And can you tell me again, how far would that be away from the rails to trails? Do you have an idea?
Not exactly.
It's not too far.
Not very far.
No,
The park.
It's on the map too.
The park is probably 200, well, from this point, maybe 200 feet to the rails to trails, which would be down in this area.
Okay. Chris, can you just wrap it up? I think that
Yes.
Councillor Tweel, some of the issues that we want to just hear from Chris and his conclusion will just bring us back to what you're proposing.
The only thing I'd like to add or to stress here, I think, is that the owner is applying for an apartment building. It's shown as 62 here presently, but the owner is applying for a building that's up to 72 units. And he doesn't want to have to go through a development agreement amendment again, but he thinks the appropriate number is in the 62 to 65 range, but we won't know that specifically until we get into the further into the design process.
Okay, Chris, thank you. Councillor Rivera, did you want to just conclude, or?
Yeah, Chris, you just mentioned 72, so the report does say 74.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted clarification, just to be sure for the record.
Sorry, 74 is.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
Excuse me, Your Worship. Could I interject for a moment?
Yes, you can, sir. Councillor Duffy?
It's the purpose of council here tonight is to gather information from the general public. I think some councillors are turning into a political bandstand. Councillors are only supposed to ask the speakers for clarification on various points, not to expand on the liabilities or assets of a particular application. So, Your Worship, I think we should stick to the rules.
Yeah, and Councillor Duffy, I understand that I've attended a lot of these public meetings, and I believe the emotions involved with some of these issues also reflect upon some of the councillors, so I'll try to moderate as close as I can. So could we go to number 3, Chair Rivard?
Or letter C. All right, the next application is for 428, 430, and 432 Queen Street. So there is a request to rezone PID 368134 from medium-density residential R3 zone to mixed-use corridor MUC zone, and to amend the official plan map from a medium-density residential to commercial for the properties with PIDs 368126, 368134, and a portion of 368118 to construct a parking lot for McQueen's Bike Shop, and consolidate PID numbers 368126, 368134, and a portion of 368118 to form a new lot 2020-1. That was a lot of numbers. Felt like I was kind of like the Super Lotto in New York or something. Anyways, Robert, you are here to present, and we do have the applicant here as well to answer any questions, should there be any.
That's correct.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Robert.
thank you, Mr. Chair. The chair placed it excellently. So basically, this is just a cleanup zone, as well as cleaning up the official plan designation of the property. So I think most people are aware that this is the McQueen Bike Shop, and back a couple years ago, there was a house that was constructed here. That was demolished with a permit in 2018, I believe. Essentially, it's been used for parking, for commercial parking for the bike shop itself, and the applicant and owner is just proposing to consolidate the lots, because currently they're up in individual parcels. So essentially, they're going to consolidate the lots, so everything you see in red will become basically one whole lot. Once the lots are consolidated, they also need to change the zoning as well as the designation. So this is the official plan designation, which is the community vision, and right now it has it as medium density residential. So they're just changing the designation to be commercial, which will essentially be the same designation to properties just east of it. As well as they'll also change the zone, so they already have a split zone on this parcel, or amongst these parcels, medium density residential. So again, cleaning up the property lines, cleaning up the zone in order to recognize a current commercial use that exists today. I can answer any questions that you may have, and the applicant and owner is here to answer them as well. Thank you.
So I assume it's Kelly McQueen. Kelly, do you want to add any information? Okay. So, Mr. Chair, we'll open up the floor. Okay, if you wish to speak, we have 2 mics. You have both the planner here and the owner, Kelly McQueen. Okay.
I have a question.
Councillor Twill, you have a question on the clarification of the application?
Yeah. Thank you, Kelly, for being here tonight. Appreciate it. Robert, with this request, will there be an increase on parking on summer, if I understand it correctly?
So essentially, the proposed parking area would just be where the existing parking is, so it's around within this area. So there was once a single attached home. Once that was demolished in 2018, they're just seeking to consolidate that portion with a larger commercial property to provide surface parking in this general vicinity here.
Okay.
Yes.
In that vicinity.
Right in this area.
But nothing on summer, right?
No.
There's a space here that could technically, I guess, be used by parking. Perhaps the applicant could answer that question.
Kelly, if you could just use the mic, please. So Kelly McQueen is the owner of McQueen's. Great to have you here, Kelly.
So can you hear me, Mitchell? Yeah, the spot in the back off Summer that we want on to this consolidation plan will offer potentially 5 or 6 parking for our staff out back, but it won't be used for the commercial.
Thank you, Kelly. And I want to wish you all the best.
Okay, Robert, do you have any more concluding remarks? You're good?
No, Your Worship.
Councillor Rivard? No? Okay, well, that leads us into the next one. Thank you, Robert. Is Robert staying up for this one too? Okay.
Yes,
All right, the last item on the agenda is 168 Weymouth Street. There's a request to amend the official plan map from downtown neighborhood to downtown mixed-use neighborhood and to rezone the subject property from downtown neighborhood DN zone to downtown mixed-use neighborhood DMUN zone to operate a professional office, i.e. accountants, on the first floors with the remaining third floor to be used for residential. Again, we have Robert here to present, and I believe we have folks here representing, or I guess, do we have the folks here representing? Oh, in the back, that's where they are. Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well put. Basically, this application before the council and the public tonight is that the applicant, Jeff, who is here, is seeking to change the official plan designation from downtown neighborhood. So downtown neighborhood is basically all the properties that you can see in this pink shade into downtown mixed-use neighborhood, which basically is it's a mixed residential / commercial zone. So that type of, well, zone and designation is the brown shade here. So they have currently, they're operating out of 199 Weymouth Street, just up the street here, in the downtown mixed-use neighborhood zone, so that's a permitted use. However, because they would like to relocate the accounting office to the 168 Weymouth Street, it's located in the downtown neighborhood. So they would have to change, again, both the official plan as well as the zoning bylaw, which deals with the entitlements, and that's to bring in a commercial office, so basically an accountant's office. Just for an FYI, this property is not a designated heritage resource. However, when we had our heritage resource take a look at the property, there were some Queen Anne revival elements of the actual building from the turn of the century that is quite interesting and should be preserved from an architectural standpoint. But again, I will state it's not a designated property, but it does have elements that would lend itself to one. So then basically this is again just a summation of what the applicant is proposing on doing with the property, i.e. an accountant's office, and they are here tonight to also take any questions, but so am I. So if there's any questions from either council or the members of the public, I'm more than happy to take them. Thank you.
Jeff, do you have any comments? Is it Jeff Carroll? Just give us your name and we know where you live.
Yeah, my name is Jeff Keogh, and we currently operate at 199 Weymouth, just like Robert explained there. So we're not really going to change the neighborhood traffic at all. The people that are already coming to our office are coming through the neighborhood. The neighborhood is, I guess, as Robert pointed out, mixed use is all around it. Like around that park, just in kind of kitty corner to our property, you have McLean's Funeral Home, Chuck Hatchett's, Sports Page, Bar, Stearns, ADL, Holland College. So it is a mixed use area, and we probably meet clients 20% of the time. The rest of the time we're just in our office doing the work, and we're closed. We're pretty quiet after 5 Airbnb. So it would be much, I think, much more disturbance in the area if you have an Airbnb that people are arriving every 3 days and you don't really trust them because you don't know them, and they're operating at all hours of the night as opposed to an accounting office. So I don't think we're going to disrupt the neighborhood at all.
Okay, Jeff. I just, I know I'm not in conflict of interest. I just grew up down the street at 20. Can we bring her in from using WebEx? So she'll be on the big screen here, I think.
Hi there.
Amber, it's we're here for the item on Weymouth Street. Do you want to express your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. I won't take up too much of your time. A few things I want to say in reference to my house being an Airbnb. Yes, it has an Airbnb license, but it is my home as a summer home. I'm from Prince Edward Island. For much of 2020, my parents actually lived there when they had to come back from Florida early because of COVID-19, and we have family friends soon moving in there for the winter. So just want to be clear on that front. There are really three things that I want to chat about, and it'll only take a couple of minutes. I am opposed to this rezoning. First of all, my house, as was mentioned, is at 166 Weymouth Street, and we share a very narrow driveway with 168. And I think that's really important for people to understand. It's a small residential driveway, and both of the backyards are also residential. In fact, if you take a quote from the listing itself, this is how 168 Weymouth backyard is described: a quaint backyard of perennial gardens to enjoy summer evenings. This is not something you want to turn into a parking lot. There's barely enough room for the cars at the homes themselves, let alone for a commercial business. My number 2 point is that Old King Square is not a commercial community. If you look around that square, as I know all of you know, unlike the location where the potential buyer is, this is very much a residential community. And even though this could potentially be turned into an accounting office, there's nothing to say that within 6 months, a year, or any time after that, it could not be turned into some other commercial property, which would grossly impact the residential nature of that square. The third thing that I wanted to mention is simply to talk about the reality that, again, this residential neighborhood has so much history to it. And yes, when you go 2 or 3 blocks in one direction or the other, you do find more commercial neighborhoods. And the truth is there are many, many commercial properties that are available right now for an accounting firm to move into. My argument would be that 168 Weymouth Street is definitely not one of those properties. And our driveway, which again is shared, we had a survey done, is definitely not a commercial driveway. There's barely enough parking in the first place. And that's it. And thanks so much for conferencing me in tonight.
Thank you, Amber. We have, as I said, 2 mics. Do you want to stay up there, Jeff, or you want to just, we can call you back up to answer any of the questions?
I'm okay to stay here and answer questions.
So if you wish to use the other mic, please do so. Anyone else?
I'm Barbara Rodenizer, and I live at 164 Weymouth Street. And unfortunately, within your packages tonight, you did not receive or did not have a copy of the letter that my husband drafted concerning this proposed amendment to the bylaw. So I'll just hit those points, which echo most of the points that Amber has made, i.e. one, there's insufficient parking for any business on that street. What parking is available street side and only on the east side of the street because of the nature of vehicle traffic, is not sufficient. For the most part, it's occupied either by student staff of Holland College or Veterans Affairs because it's not metered, it's cheap, and it's a great way to get through that. The other issue is is that of zoning itself. If we open up the door to a spot zoning accommodation, who's to say that the next person who wants to petition to council for a variance for their property, you don't have anything to support a denial of that request. So it is really, to take a phrase from Doug MacArthur's letter, or Amber's, I'm not sure, it's the slippery slope. And I think it's very vital for us to maintain the integrity of our neighborhoods. We've been through this before, granted it's likely over 20 years ago, but in opposition to a development at the corner of Kent and Weymouth Street, we saw the creation of the King's Co-op. So that's really important. Nothing against a soft usage project such as an accounting office. I'm sure they would be lovely neighborhoods. But my husband Doug, over the last couple of weeks, has done a small inventory of available retail commercial space in Charlottetown, and it's really quite surprising how much stuff is unrentable. I think it's really important for the city to try to consolidate its business and leave the neighborhoods to be neighborhoods. Yes, you and your employees will go home at 5 o'clock, but do you know what that does? That kills the social life of a neighborhood. And I think we have to protect that. Your point is valid, yes. There are pockets of commercial or mixed use or institutional use surrounding us. And we've been very good neighbors in that respect. We would just like to maintain our status quo and not see any further encroachment on our neighborhoods. So, thank you.
Thank you, Barb.
Just to rebut about one point she made about the parking. Our clients currently don't park behind our current building. They park on the street, and we're at 199 now. We're moving to 168. So that wasn't going to change. The parking is no different at either location.
Okay. Your name, please?
Hi there. I'm Lorna McMillan. I live at 172 Weymouth. So I'm on the opposite side of Amber. Basically, we're in between. You're in between is where you're looking to go. I've, again, like you, Doug, I did submit my written response to this, but just, I am curious about the parking. Like you say, they park on the street now anyway. We do have one designated residential parking, which I assume would be taken away from the property at 168 because it's not a resident for it wouldn't be a resident. It would be parking for the apartment upstairs, I assume. We do have a lot of issues right now on Weymouth Street. We're really, the city in that area is in an influx of development and people coming into the neighborhood, and we think it's really important to keep it as a community. It is in that 500 zone. It is important to keep the heritage. We're buying properties. Myself, Amber, Doug, and Barb, you've been there for many years now, but we're upgrading our homes and we're making communities. We congregate in the neighborhood, we talk to each other. We're trying to really keep that neighborhood feel, and we have been working with some of our other neighbors who are in the area who are not permanent residents per se, so businesses and whatnot. I just think it's very important that we do keep that community feel, and the parking is definitely a massive issue that we need to consider here, because there is not parking due to Holland College and all the other places. So if we're bringing more business traffic in, and I do understand that right now they park alongside your building from the photos that were shown. Is that correct?
There was no photos of our current building.
Well, there is photos in the package of your current property.
Yeah, well, there's only one spot out front now where
Okay.
we're at. It's the same situation as the
Okay,
current
so the
building.
alleyway that nobody parks there?
In the alleyway?
Yeah.
We do.
Okay, that answers my
But
question then.
our clients don't.
No, that's okay. I'm just curious, because there's no parking at all with the current property for 168, so.
Not in the alleyway, no.
No.
But we will park behind this building, as
So the single space?
there's probably 2 spaces
No,
back
there
there.
will be, there's one. I am next door, there's really one. Come winter, you're pushing it, so.
Yeah.
Okay, that answers a lot of my questions. Thank you.
There is a parkade 2 blocks away as well.
As for your letter, Doug, and both of you, that will be part of the package. There will be a planning committee meeting. That is open to the public. It will be up at City Hall. You will not be able to get into the Parkdale room, but there are spaces out in the foyer to watch the proceedings. So that will be part of the package.
Okay.
Jeff, did you want to say something? Sorry?
No.
Okay. Any other comments? Right there, sir.
Yeah, Doug MacArthur, 276 North River Road, and my wife and I this past spring and into the summer spent 5 months at Amber's place at 166 Weymouth, and we'll likely be back there again. The house is used a bit for an Airbnb in the summertime, but only when it's not being used by families, so very, very little. I provided a letter, which I hope everyone has received as far as my perspective on this, and the great differences between the block north of Fitzroy on Weymouth and the block south. There's no comparison. The block north, next door to Jeff's business, is an auto body shop. Next door to us on either side is totally residential. Across the street from Jeff is the ADL plant. Across from us is Old King Square. There's no similarities whatsoever. When Jeff talks about the other buildings that are commercial in the surrounding corners, those buildings were built 50 or more years ago. My father was buried at McLean's Funeral Home in 1968 on that location. So, and Mayor, you know the history of that, and you know the Stearns Laundry history. There's been no new commercial approvals in that whole block, and nor there should be. And so, this block, if this block is negotiable as far as its future use, then our whole city's for sale. It's that simple. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Doug, did you want to get up? Yep.
To touch on one of the points that my wife made, and this was about the inventory of commercial space in downtown Charlottetown. I'm the co-founder of a tech startup, and about 10 days ago, we decided it was time to move out of our homes and coffee shops and church basements and actually get our own office space. Actually, we had one in the building that used to be next to the Legion that's now completely converted. But I spoke to the people at Downtown Charlottetown, Inc. I asked Don Allen what the situation was with regards to available commercial space for offices in Charlottetown. And she pointed me out to the inventory that they keep on the Downtown Charlottetown Inc. website. There are 28 available office spaces just in downtown Charlottetown alone right now. That doesn't include the office space that's available in the former communities of Parkdale, Sherwood, West Royalty. So there is a plethora of office space that's available. So I don't really see the need to encroach any further on a residential neighborhood. I just don't see it.
Excuse me, is every one of these spaces as big as the one we're discussing here today?
Pardon?
Is every one of these spaces as big as the one we're discussing here today? Would they house what we're looking for? And are they for sale or rent?
I think it's a combination of both. I think a lot of them are for rent. Their sizes are all over the map. Some are quite large. Some are not so large.
So if the sizes are all over the map, then obviously they're not all 28 are going to fit our needs, as well as we would like to make the offices look exactly like we want them. So we're looking to own, not rent. So maybe I just want to qualify your statement.
Yeah, but we still have a problem with the fact that, come 5 o'clock, people go home.
Yeah.
So there are residents proposed for the 3rd floor. First 2 floors are empty. That's however many people who ordinarily would have lived in those residences who won't be there anymore. And the other issue I had was that the fact that the proposed uses that are allowed under the zoning that's been requested include things like eating establishments, parking projects, as in a parking garage, doctor's offices, dentist offices, and retail outlets. And if he takes the building and does what he wants with it, and everything works out fine, we could likely learn to live with it. But if he decides at some point that it no longer suits their purposes, and it goes back on the sale block, it's already got this zoning, which means that anybody who comes in with something else can say, well, that hurdle's already been cleared. So
Thank you, Doug.
that's the problem we have.
Thank you. I was just told by the chair that we're going to Skype in, or no, WebEx. Amber. Hello, Amber.
Hi, I just have something really quick to say about Jeff's comments. It just concerns me that at the same time he's trying to say that there won't be many people in his offices and it will be limited traffic. He's also saying that no commercial spaces are big enough for what he wants. And I just want to make that point very clear because I think that is somewhat disturbing in terms of understanding the foot traffic as well as how that space would be used potentially at 168 Weymouth.
I think you misunderstood, Amber. I didn't mean we needed a lot of traffic. I mean, we need a perfect size office. And he was saying there's 28 available, where some could be too small, some could be too big, some are for rent and not even for sale. That's the only point I was trying to make.
Okay. Thank you, Amber. Any other comments, questions? And again, Doug, those letters will be part of the planning package that will go to the councillors and also the planning board members. We have a couple that are here, Bob Kenny, Basil Hambley, and Rosemary Herberry is being Skyped in or brought in by WebEx. So yes, all the members of the committee will get that. Oh. No, you have to use the mic, Barb.
Within this handout, there's the photographs of the streetscape where Mr. Keown's presently conducting his business. And it's this large 2-story home that you're currently working out of?
Yes, just the bottom floor.
Just the bottom floor. Is this a property that might potentially suit your needs if it were, is it for sale or?
No, it's too small.
It's too small.
It only has two offices in the bottom floor.
Yeah. It's a fairly large property. I'm just curious.
Okay, thank you, Barb. And I forgot to mention Shallon Murray, who's also on the board. Sorry, Shallon. As a board member, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Oh, Councillor McLeod.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Just a question on snow removal. Any consideration given to the wintertime? I mean, this is a shared driveway, I believe.
Doug, just 1 second. Are you asking that question to Robert or the?
If Amber's there, she can
Just 1 second.
Yeah, I don't see in the application anywhere where they talk about snow removal being a shared driveway. Like, how's that going to fit? Robert,
I don't know if
Well,
I'm.
it's currently a shared driveway, and the snow has to be removed, so we were just going to do the same procedure that's always been done.
Okay, we have. Yeah, Amber, did you want to ask a question or clarification?
No, I was just going to say that we pay for snow removal in the shared driveway. As I think a couple of our neighbors will know, it's a very narrow driveway, so it is difficult to get cars through there at all, and even with a bit of snow, it gets more challenging as well.
So the other point is, the backyard was never used as a parking space before. If you check with the current owners, that has only been turned into a car park as of the spring of this year. It was actually a pond that they had a nice little pond with a water feature in. Sorry, closer? Okay. But it was a water feature before. They've filled it in to put a car in there, so there's never been snow removal there. It was always a backyard. And so my property borders on the back of where the current new driveway is.
Okay.
So they didn't clear the driveway before? They just left snow on it?
It wasn't
on the side.
Amber owned the driveway down to her property. There was 168 only had on-street parking. They never used the grassy area pond out back.
Yeah, I think just, I think the parking has been something that the current owner has put in. I don't think that those two spots, I don't know the legalities around them, but they certainly weren't there even when I bought the house last year.
But the parking is already there, right? We don't even have to change anything.
He currently has parking at it right now, yes. But so there's never been snow removal. So to your question on snow removal, it's never been done before.
Okay, that's all we need to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another question there, Councillor? Okay. Doug, did you want to add any other comments? Okay. Any questions, comments, any more? Okay. Well, I think we can close the meeting. So I will need introduction of new business. No new business. Adjournment of this public session. Moved by Councillor Rivard, second by Councillor McLeod. All in favor?
Yep.
Aye. Thank you very much for coming out. And is it Monday night, the meeting?
Yes, October 5th. I believe the meeting starts at 4, Ellen? Yeah. And just a reminder, it is my birthday, October 5th, so if you're coming, bring a cake. Thanks.
City Hall. Thank you.